5, a book that annoyed you. Have you read any books that annoyed you?
I mean, Notes from Underground could be annoying, but it was mostly funny in my opinion.
Okay. I think this is supposed to insinuate that your siblings annoy you, which is true,
Oh,
obviously.
I mean,
But
there was nothing like that. There was nothing annoying like that in any book I've read. I mean, maybe no, no. I mean,
Hmm.
no. Maybe
Yeah,
some
I could.
comic books, but not.
Oh yeah, and you could share some comic books. I'm just thinking of like, I mean, I could share several books that annoyed me, right? But if I were just to pick one, um, and not relate it to like our relationship at all, but just like a book that annoyed me was like Faces of Deception by Troy Denning. Um, because it's like a super good book. I actually really like it, except for it has no ending. Like, I'm just gonna spoil it a little bit because I'm sure most people watching this will never read it and don't care to read it at all. But it's one of the Lost Empire's Forgotten Realms books, which they don't none of them connect. So it's essentially a standalone. It's just part of the Lost Empire series. And this is like the one in the series that actually isn't about a lost empire. It's about a hidden like society type of thing. So it's like this guy is like ugly, like beyond ugly, essentially, right? He's got like a hunchback and he's grotesque looking, and but he worships the goddess of beauty. And the book is like it always leaves it up to you, like whether he goes on this quest because he thinks at the end of his quest he can become beautiful, and it's always confusing whether or not the goddess actually sent him on this quest, which is cool, right? Because it makes you think, you know what I mean? Like, did she really send him on this quest? You know what I mean? Like, or is she like, or are people laughing at him behind his back type of thing? So he goes from like super far, like he goes from like south of Baldur's Gate type of area, kind of, or maybe it's a little east of Baldur's Gate, just so you know where it's going. And then he goes all the way east out of Faerun. He goes to the Yemenal Mountains,
Goodbye.
which are like on the edge of Faerun, kind of, but kind of near Shaolong as well, I believe. Um, and there is like this little cool secret, basically like probably based off like some Nepal like thing, you know, like going on here. But there's like a little secret society there that's ruled by some like being that's magical and powerful or whatever. Um, but like he's there like trying to like become beautiful and stuff like that. And then there's like this little confrontation because he's kind of bad, right? The idea is that he's not really beautiful on the inside. I think that's the idea, right?
It's hubris.
But the well, because he's so convinced that if he becomes beautiful on the outside, he'll be good, right?
He
He's
went
not
on the
necessarily
mission
like,
in the first place, bro.
yeah, he's not like a terrible guy, but I mean he's kind of got like the wrong idea.
He's too worried
Yeah,
about
right.
stuff
So
that doesn't matter.
right, exactly. And so like it's pretty interesting, but the ending is just not an ending essentially, and maybe that's what he wanted. You know what I mean? But like reading a Forgotten Realms novel, I wasn't expecting some highly thoughtful,
Prophetic.
philosophical book or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't come off that way a ton, anyways, but it does slightly, right? But the ending is like he falls off the edge of this waterfall, and that's it. That's literally it. He's standing in a boat. He's looking at someone, and then he goes over the edge, and
Is he
that's the end of
looking
the
at
book.
someone or
He's looking at this
himself?
woman that is like his guide in the magical hidden land, kind of.
She is the goddess. And he
Maybe.
falls off the waterfall because he was too busy focusing on stupid crap. That's the
Yeah,
ending.
maybe. I mean, the more I think about it, it's actually kind of nice, right? But when I first finished it, it totally annoyed me because it was just
Dissatisfaction.
like, yeah, I was like, what is this ending? You know what I mean? Like,
It's not.
it's cool. I mean, I do like thinking. I like when an author does that, but I kind of want to go in expecting that, and I didn't expect it at all from a
I
Forgotten
like
Realms
it better in a
novel.
book
And
than a
Troy
TV
Denning,
show.
for that matter, right? It's Troy Denning, who I've read several of his books before, and he doesn't. I mean, no, like so he's kind of like Christy Golding. He's just writing like IP fiction. But anyways, you like it better in a book than a TV show. I would agree with you there. Yeah.
At least the
You
whole
think in
book
like
you've had to
Lost
think
or
for
something?
yourself, but then
You
like
think
on a TV show they do all the thinking for you. You just watch it.
yeah.
So it's like I don't want to have to think at the end of Lost, you know? I just watched it.
Yeah.
And they explain
Yeah.
everything except for the ending, or there's plenty of TV shows that do that. But, or movies for
Yeah.
that matter. Although in a movie it's kind of okay as well. I kind of
Huh.
like it in a movie a little bit. Like
Yeah.
Inception doesn't have an ending.
Yeah,
And Inception is one of the greatest movies ever made. I mean,
that's true.
it's not amazing, but it's one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I like the idea, but I kind of it's more of an expectation issue, I think. So I was like, I wasn't expecting some philosophical thing.
Then you're guilty of exactly what the character is guilty of. You're worried about crap
Oh
that
yeah,
doesn't matter. You read the book, it's
probably.
over. Shut up.
Well, it's funny though because I say this like I start saying this book to say like it annoyed me, but the only the first time I made the connection that maybe he was trying to teach or like make me think was as I was saying this right now. You know what I mean? So like if I had thought that beforehand, I would not have shared that as the book that annoyed me. I would have shared that as a book that I need to think more about. But so but
Haha.
yeah, look at that.
You figured it out.
Look at that, but still annoyed
Look at
me.
you, Troy.
But
You did it
that's my
again.
fault, I guess. Um. Anyways, yeah. Wait, did you share a book that annoyed you? Can't remember.
Yeah, just Notes from Underground. It's
Oh,
not
that's
even the
right. Okay.
book, it's the character, which I think is the next question.
Uh. Yeah, it is actually 6. A
Yeah.
character that annoyed you. So.
So because that's not fair, I actually thought of a second one. Although this one is from a comic book, but Maxwell Lord.
I don't know
He's
who that
a
is.
Have you seen the new Wonder Woman movie? The newest Wonder Woman movie that is not new? 1984?
1984. Yeah.
Pedro Pascal plays Maxwell Lord. He's
Oh,
the
the
bad
bad
guy in
guy.
that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the movie he wasn't even like annoying as so much as insolent and childish. Um,
Yeah.
but in the books, he's like conniving and annoying and annoying and
Oh, really?
annoying and annoying. And he
Sorry,
killed
man.
Blue Beetle, so he's a
Ah,
jerk. Yeah,
no.
so I really don't like him. I like Blue Beetle. He's right there.
Monster.
Yeah,
Huh.
so that's or the Underground Man from Notes from Underground. He's annoying. He's annoying because he just like he also is like a child. He's a grown man. He's like 60 years old at least, and he acts like a child.
Hmm.
He's like, I hate
That's
going to work
interesting.
because my coworkers are stinky. He literally says that in the book. It's like, okay.
Dude.
All
Wow.
right, yeah. And then like he like has like this there's this part where he's going to this like square every day just to like look at people. He's weirdo. He's a weird guy. Obviously, they call him the Underground Man. He goes to this square like every day, and like there's this cop who he thinks like the cop thinks that he's better than him because he's a cop or whatever, and so he's like, I have to win. Like I have to win. There's nothing to win, but he's like, I have to win, and that's annoying in and of itself. But then like one day. He's like, I'm gonna buy a nice outfit. So he's like, I took 3 months of my wages missed my rent so I could buy a new coat so I could look nice for this little altercation I'm going to get in with a cop. Okay, so he goes to get in this altercation with a cop, and all he does is he walks by him and he hits him with his shoulder. He taps him with his shoulder,
Ooh,
and he goes, I won because now he knows I exist. It's like, okay, well, you're a
that
baby
might just
boy.
be the weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
It's kind of annoying.
taking way longer than I thought it would. Anyways, but it's interesting to me because I mentioned this with Shane. Is that like it's a character? It's like how do I decide this? Like, is it a character that's annoying because it is written poorly, or is he a character that's annoying because he's supposed to be annoying? Right?
Oh,
And
the character is supposed to be annoing. If it's annoying
yeah,
because it's written
well,
poorly, then there should just be another question on this thing that just says name a bad book.
I think that's probably the book that annoyed you. But I do
True.
kind of want to touch on the Cleric Quintet because I can, which is like my thing that I complain about on the internet apparently. Um, you probably never read my blog, but you know how I have my blog about the Forgotten Realms stuff. And the Cleric Quintet was like my least favorite book series I've read so far in the Forgotten Realms. And I'm annoyed by two things mostly in that book. Is that the main character is extremely annoying because he's really dumb. Um, like his
That's
thought
fair.
process is just not intelligent.
Is he
And
supposed to be
it's
dumb?
he's supposed to be insanely smart and he's insanely powerful, so he's not supposed to be dumb. So it's more of my critique on Salvatore of him handling his characters because he makes the main character dumb and annoying, and he makes the bad guy the most reasonable person in the
Relatable.
stinking series. Yeah. And it's like, and he's not doing it on purpose. You can tell because he's supposed to be like, basically the problem is that like the bad guy is like, he's essentially just somewhat of a bully, at least at the beginning. Because he's like thoughtful, and he's just scared, so he's a bully. Like he takes it out on the other character or whatever. But in the end, like he basically gets like what's coming to him, and like you can definitely tell it's like a good point for him to grow as a character. And then he just completely blows it. Like he just screws it up so bad in book 5 in the series. I absolutely hated that book, and because he just can't write his characters for the life of him, which is funny. But because it's a lot of people like Salvatore's writing for like the likes of Drist as a
That's what
character,
he's
and
famous
I think
for.
Drist is not a very good character either, personally, or he's a little shallow. Let me put it that way.
I think
Sometimes I
he's
really
dumb.
like Drist. I really
I
like
hate
Drist sometimes, and other times I'm like, wow, you are the most annoying character ever. So
all dark elves are bad. That's it. End of story.
yeah, well, I have a lot of complaints against Salvatore. I mean, like, and the big one being that like he ignored every drow deity. Oh, my child is crying. He ignored every drow deity besides Lolth, you know. And if you go and reading Dark Elf trilogy, you think that's the only one that exists, and there's actually a whole pantheon. You just ignored them. So, anyways, that's a different complaint. I can make a separate video of complaining about R.A. Salvatore for a whole hour. But anyways, maybe we can go a little quicker through these next ones. I'm fine talking with you. I just like I'm gonna have to split
Sure.
this one up like I did with Shannon.
I gotta go
Um,
to dinner anyway, so
oh yeah, okay. Let's see. 7, a book series you have ups and downs with, but at the end of the day you love it.
there's only one series I've like finished. It's The
Let's
Godfather.
say
So
okay.
yeah. So but I wouldn't
So
even
did
say I had any downs. I mean, the one
oh
down I
really?
can think of is that sometimes it's a little too descriptive and nobody asked, you know.
Nobody asked
Yeah.
about like the gory stuff and
The
whatnot.
gory stuff and then
Yeah.
also like some of the sex stuff. It's just like, okay, nobody asked.
Yeah, right. That's how
Literally
I
nobody
feel about
cares.
that stuff. Because it happens in other books too, and that's why I'm just like nobody asked, so I don't
Like
know why.
George R. R.
It
Martin.
doesn't really like yeah, right. It doesn't help the story so much. It's just kind of weird.
Most of the time
Um,
in my experience when people like describe sex in books like too much of a degree that nobody cares, it's written by an old horny guy.
yeah, I mean, like if you want to read smut, go ahead and read smut, you know, but that's
Yeah.
what it's written for. But when
Yeah,
it's
and I
written in
didn't ask for
it's in a
that.
book that's not that, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cuz like
I'm never
for
going in wanting that. So I
well,
mean,
yeah, well cuz like I mean Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, that series, what that Chronicles of Narnia, there's
uh-huh,
not sex in that, and it's a good story. And like Lord of the Rings is probably the best
right.
example. In fact, there might even be sex in Lord of the Rings, you know, like, but
That was
no,
actually
there
one of his
isn't.
critiques. You know, like there's like, where's the sex? You know, this is supposed to be an adult. That's the idea that fantasy is for kids because it's like fairy tales, right? And then I think Tolkien said that there is, but it's not there. You know, essentially,
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm
obviously they have
saying.
kids, so that's
Like in
I
the
mean, obviously
movie,
people are having
obviously,
sex,
yeah,
but
because
like
at the end,
that doesn't need to be in
freaking
there.
Samwise has kids.
Uh-huh.
Aragorn, I'm pretty sure, like when Aragorn meets with Arwen at the beginning there in Fellowship of the Ring, they totally had sex, but it doesn't matter because nobody asked. And
Okay.
that's probably what Tolkien was thinking. Anyway, and then like for example, in like Moon is a Harsh Mistress, there's like a quote unquote sex scene, and he's just like they
Uh-huh.
laid down, and then the morning came. It's like nobody asked, so I'm not gonna tell you.
Right. Okay. No, that's good. Yeah. That's funny because I was like, I think that's probably the only series you've read. My little
Yeah.
girl is sad. But the I would say I actually think of the two series I read um back when I was younger. When I look at this question, because I think of like this is actually a video I want to make kind of soon, but it's like I read a lot of books and I had a disappointments with some of the endings, but like, do I still love it? I don't know. I probably never read them again, so probably not. But two series that I have considered reading again before, but I'm not sure if I will, is like The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. So like Aragon, I didn't really
Hmm.
enjoy the ending all that much. It was okay. So I mean, but it definitely had its ups and downs in the series. I mean, Eldest was like boring as heck, in my opinion. But
Is that the
and then
second one or is that the last one?
yeah, that's the second one.
Okay.
And then the fourth book just didn't have the best ending, but it was okay, like I said. And then RuneScape, though, I always thought the ending was kind of anticlimactic in the third book. But I still really like the series,
That's
right?
because
So
it's
I mean,
RuneScape, dude.
oh man, my child. Okay, but yeah, RuneScape, man, you can't
That's because
not
at the
like
end
it.
of the series, you just did 3 quests, book 1, 2, and 3, and then you gotta go cut wood for literally 400 hours. So
It's funny because actually I think it was one of the guy who wrote it, T.S. Church. I don't know. I can't remember if I ever actually read the story, and I can't remember if it's like like fan fiction for RuneScape, or if it's based off RuneScape, but the name of the story is like The Woodcutter's Daughter. And so like every time I read it, I think of RuneScape. So it's just like, yes, he just cuts
It's
wood. He just...
that's what Shannon does.
Right, yeah. Anyways, so question 8 though, a book series you know inside out.
It's The Godfather still.
What a surprise. No.
Yeah.
You read those a while ago though. That was
I actually
not
only
recent.
finished like The Godfather itself. I only finished it right before I moved, so like a year ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I read The Family Corleone years ago.
Yeah, okay. Uh I could just say probably like the Tolkien stuff, Tolkien Legendarium. More so when I've read it more recently, obviously, or if I've just like studied it more recently. Um, but that. So, um, anyways, 9, which has 2 parts, one for me and one for you. So for me, the older sibling, a character you wants to protect, which is of course saying that I want to protect you, which I don't think was ever the case. No, I'm joking. I'm just joking. No, I'm just joking. But a character I want to protect, that's it always depends on when you ask me, right? Obviously, but I think a character I want to protect, but mostly from the fans, is Frodo. I think Frodo is a great character, and he gets hated on way too much. And I think some of it's probably just people who mostly have watched the movie rather than read the book,
Yeah, but they
and then
didn't pay
that's a little bit
attention to
more
the movie either.
understandable.
He's
Yeah,
well, he
I know.
still doesn't like
Yeah, he's
deserve
still
it.
the hero, and like I think, man, Frodo is a great character, but he gets hate on. He gets too much hate, and I will defend Frodo until I die. So that's who I want to protect.
I'm with that.
So,
Mine is a character you look up to, and I'm gonna say Bernardo de la Paz from The Moon is a Harsh Mistress.
De La Paz, okay. Is
He
that?
reminded
I'm
me of
curious.
Dad
Oh, really?
a
Okay,
lot. Yeah, like a
that's
lot.
interesting.
Yeah, you would like that book. I'm telling you.
Huh. I'll have to.
I
I'm
also
curious. Is
put,
that?
huh?
Oh, I was just
You're
gonna
good.
ask. Is that book like? Is that like one? Like it's one story from beginning to end, or is it set? Like I know a lot of older sci-fi books are kind of like here's a chunk of
It's
the story, and there's a future, and another chunk of the story, and the future,
it's
and
three
another chunk of the story.
books. So,
Okay.
but they're very much. There's like between book 1 and 2, there's no time in between. Between book 2 and
Mm-hmm.
3, there's no time in between, but there are time jumps in the
Oh.
middle of those books. So they're all
Oh.
a consecutive story, and there's only one main character throughout,
Okay. Interesting.
which I actually put him as the answer to my next question. But the main character, I also put Duratan, a character I look up to, Duratan from the Warcraft
That's
books.
Warcraft. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Huh.
yeah, it's the main character of Lord of the Clans' dad. He's a good guy.
Oh
I
yeah.
look up to him. The
Wait,
orcs
you
are all
made it. You
about, huh?
was that the D&D character you made that was like named after a
Yeah.
Warcraft character? Was it
You
Duratan?
no, no,
That
no.
sounds right.
Orgrim Doomhammer. It's Stinky Dung Fingers. Orgrim Doomhammer.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But Duratan and Orgrim are friends, so
Okay.
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
That's cool. Anyways, 10, a character you would want to be siblings with.
I put Manuel
Okay.
O'Kelly, the main character of The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, or Thrall, the main character of Lord of the Clans, Duratan's son. I couldn't
Oh.
decide, so I put one or the other. I mean,
His
like
name was
want to be
Thrall.
siblings
Wow.
seems well. He has a real name, but he gets taken as a baby by humans and becomes their thrall. So they just call him Thrall, and he keeps the name after he's no longer their thrall because it's like a
Uh,
a thing like
sure.
I was a slave and now I'm the war chief of the horde. Basically, is the idea.
Huh.
So it's cool. That's inspirational in and of itself. But I guess that could be someone I look up to as well. Like wanting someone to be your sibling is really weird. Like that's a weird question
Yeah,
anyway.
I think that's a little silly, personally. Um, yeah, and that's why it's actually when I have a hard time answering because I'm just like I don't know, like, but like, um, there's a lot of cool characters out there and a lot of books I read, right? I
Yeah.
mean, like,
I mean,
but
if you asked me who I want to be my sibling, I would say no one because why would I want another sibling? I don't care. But if you
right.
told me I had to pick someone from a book I've read, and they're going to become my sibling, yeah, I'd probably do Manuel O'Kelly. I think he'd get along with us. So
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm honestly having a really hard time thinking about this one right now because, yeah, I just think it's a weird question. But a character that I would that's hard, man.
Han Solo. I would
Han
choose Han
Solo.
Solo too. Yeah, I'll just come up with more answers while you can't give one.
Go ahead.
I could probably think of a few more, honestly, but I'm gonna start going into like TV characters and movie characters as opposed to
Oh
books.
yeah, that being said, actually, when you say, I know it's a book tag, right? But at the same time, Merlin from the Adventures of Merlin TV show, um,
He's a character in books.
he is actually. I mean,
Yeah.
and not even like that TV version is. There are books of that TV show.
Well, there you
Um,
go.
so I guess Merlin. I mean, again, he's only someone I would choose kind of because I have to. But
Yeah.
but I think he'd be fine. Probably, right? In the dynamic, he's not a jerk. So I mean, like,
Fair enough.
right. Anyways, so that is all 10 questions though. So yeah.
Yahoo!
Woo. No, yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for answering the questions.
Yep.
So do you have anything you want to like tell people to go check out, like, or something?
You mean like
Or
social media?
yeah, like
No, I
anything you want
don't.
to promote.
I'm
Okay.
not actively doing anything more. Actually, if you're interested in like miniatures, like Warhammer, the only thing I actively do right now is that basically. So I just like paint miniatures. So and it's just an Instagram page. I'm gonna do YouTube at some point. That's actually what the board that says Country Road Take Me Home is for, because I painted
Oh.
some Fallout miniatures. But yeah, so like I just paint little minis like this, and miserable. The word miserable dot minis, minis. So MISEA or SERABLE dot MINIS on Instagram. And like, so if you're even a little interested in that, you can go see some stuff I'm doing over there. I'm brand new to it, so it's just like a learning thing. And I'm kind of trying to do what I did with Hembar and Arvazek, where I just want people to comment and be like, you suck, but then at least I got a comment. So that's what I'm going for. So if you're interested in watching somebody learn how to paint miniatures that are 28 millimeters tall and 32, that's where to
Oof.
go.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That sounds really small. No, okay. I don't know
It
my
is.
millimeters size.
Well,
But
20. They're not 28 millimeters tall. It's 28 millimeter scale. So if they're 9 foot, take that down to 28 millimeter scale. So they usually come out to
they're
about an
like,
inch.
I was just saying, yeah, they're not.
Mm.
Better. Okay, well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, but that is a good Instagram to go follow if that does sound interesting to you. So, but anyways, thanks for watching. This has been Liam with Liam's Lyceum, aka Himvar, and joined by Cullen, aka the one and only Arvazek. Catch you next time.